Geologists are giving us another explanation and volcano warnings. They say quiet volcanoes pose the biggest threat, and there's a risk of catastrophic eruption. Volcanoes, which are typically the quietest, could be the most deadly, and they could cause a catastrophic eruption, according to one scientist. Well, now that I'm thinking of this, I remember what happened recently in Kamchatka. The Kamchatka Peninsula of Russia is at the northwest part of the Pacific tectonic plate, and just east of that we have the Aleutian Islands, which are all volcanic. And the Russians had a list of dangerous volcanoes of the Kamchatka Peninsula. One volcano that they believed was extinct and was not on the list, they found that was filled to the brim with magma and was about to erupt any day. And they were totally surprised at that. They didn't expect it. It was quiet, it was extinct, and yet it was full of magma and just about to erupt. Now, that's what they mean here, I guess, by the quiet volcanoes being a risk. Now, the expert warned that these quiet volcanoes could pose the biggest danger because the magma could have been building up for thousands of years. This is just what happened with the example I gave with the volcano in the Kamchatka Peninsula. So take, for example, the eruption of Vesuvius that happened 79 AD in Italy, which completely destroyed the nearby towns of Pompeii after the volcano had been dormant for thousands of years. That's another example. Dormant volcanoes, or what they think of as being extinct quote-unquote volcanoes, can still erupt. The study published in the Journal of Volcanology and Geothermal Research from Russian researchers found that dormant volcanoes should be closely monitored. Well, I guess that they've come up with this study because of what they found with the Kamchatka volcano. That was a total surprise to them. They didn't even have that volcano on the list. Now, lead author is Ivan Kulakov, and he told the newspaper Science in Siberia that a volcano which has been dormant for a long time could be catastrophic when it first erupts. He says a large amount of ash is thrown into the air. It's carried far away, and not only the surrounding settlements, but also large territories all over the planet can suffer. And he says we have to recall what happened in Pompeii. The awakening of Vesuvius was preceded by a lull, a quiet period that is, for thousands of years, and the eruption in Peru in 1600 led to a cooling in Europe and a famine in Russia. There are several supervolcanoes across the planet, actually there's 20 if not more, which have remained dormant for thousands of years and could pose a threat to life on Earth if they were to blow. One of them, for example, Lake Toba in Sumatra, Indonesia, last erupted 74,000 years ago, and that saw 2,800 cubic kilometers of material ejected into the atmosphere. Now, another supervolcano that erupted after that 27,000 years ago was the Taupo volcano of the North Island of New Zealand, and that's not far from where the White Island volcano erupted on December 9th. And the Taupo volcano is a supervolcano eruption. That was a supervolcano eruption. And anthropologists believed that there was, after that eruption took place, there was almost an extinction level event worldwide, because they believe that only 2,000 human couples were left worldwide after that happened 26,000 years ago. Only 2,000 couples. You can imagine what took place, how bad it was. It's not only the humans that went extinct, it's also animal and plant life as well, and marine life. But going back to this, what happens with a supervolcano? Now, following the eruption of Lake Toba 74,000 years ago, global temperatures decreased for a decade, covering huge areas of Indonesia and India in ash clouds, volcanic ash. The island in the middle of Lake Toba, Indonesia, is now slowly rising. It's inflating, and is thought to be a sign that magma is filling in that area. Earth is bulging due to the magma pressure below the surface there. Another one is, which is feared, of course, as we know, is Yellowstone, located in the U.S. state of Wyoming. That last erupted with a super eruption 640,000 years ago. According to the United States Geological Survey, the chances of Yellowstone eruption is about 1 in 730,000. But Yellowstone also had another eruption 70,000 years ago, and another, that was a lava eruption, that was not a super eruption, and another 80 eruptions since that 70,000 year ago eruption. Now, with 640,000 years in Yellowstone having passed since the last super eruption, Yellowstone is edging closer to an eruption of that size, but it could still be many, many thousands of years away. But experts are preparing for the worst now and are studying how such a major eruption, which could instantly wipe out large swaths of the U.S., could be prevented. One NASA employee, as we remember, one employee believes that he's found the unique way to stop the eruption by feeding cold water into Yellowstone's magma chambers to cool it down. This is NASA engineer Brian Wilcox, and he hopes to have this idea implemented to stave off the super eruption in order to cool down the magma in the chambers inside the volcano. But of course, the geologist in charge, Michael Poland, will not allow anyone to touch Yellowstone as long as he's there, because you can actually drill a hole through the magma chamber and cause an eruption, which is what you want to mitigate anyway. So the best thing is not to touch Yellowstone. Around 60 to 70% of heat generated by Yellowstone seeps to the atmosphere, but the remainder builds up inside, and that's enough build up, and it could trigger an eruption if that happens. And by drilling, he says, 10 kilometers into Yellowstone, the NASA employee believes it would be possible to pump in the water, cool water, to cool down the area in order having the water absorb heat and bring it back, pump it back out again, and also use it as a geothermal plant there. And Wilcox believes that this plant could cost about $3.5 billion. It would have the added benefit of using the steam and water and magma from the magma combo to create geothermal electricity, which is much cheaper rate than any alternative energy currently on the market. Wilcox told Mr. Walsh that the thing that makes Yellowstone a force of nature is that it stores up heat for hundreds of thousands of years before it goes kablooey all at once, and it would be good if we drain away the heat before it could do a lot of damage. There are others, as we know, like USGS scientist Jake Lowenstern, and of course Mike Poland, the geologist in charge of Yellowstone, that claim that it seems a bit fanciful and that they don't want anyone touching Yellowstone. This is on Express UK by Sean Martin. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.